Everybody, in last class we just discussed about the differential form of the Maxwell equation, that is Maxwell equation 1, that is Gauss law. We just derived the integral form to the derivative form of first Maxwell equation. That first Maxwell equation we got uh, del dot E, right, is equal to rho by epsilon naught. So in the similar way, we derived the second Maxwell equation, that is in the magnetism, with the Gauss law with respect to the magnetism. And the third equation we derived curl E is equal to minus dou B by dou T. So in these three equations, we have taken the integral form of Maxwell equation, and we have just derived this Maxwell equation integral form into derivative form. In today's class, we just discuss the fourth important thing, that is the fourth Maxwell equation, that is integral form, that is B into di. We just start our today's class with the Ampere's law, that is in the integration form of fourth Maxwell equation, that is integration of B into di. This is called actually Ampere's law, right? Now Ampere's law. Now this is Ampere's law. You already are aware of this fact, and we discussed that the here I resembles the I plus ID. If you remember, we discussed that what is ID. The ID is I suffix D is nothing but displacement current. Now we need to derive this integral form of Maxwell equation into derivative form. So we need to consider the current density. So what is that current density? Just see. So for this derivation, we need to consider, let us consider the current density. Right. So we need to consider the current density. So what we are doing is that we are considering the current density. So let us consider the current density. Current density. What is that current density? You are aware of the fact that the current density is denoted by J, and this J current density is nothing but the current per unit area. If you can remember, this is actually the current per unit area is nothing but current density. So now we need to get the total current, as you have seen that this is I. So I is equal to I plus small I plus I suffix D. Now what is total current? Total in mathematics deal with, see, since you are deriving an expression and you are taking the help of mathematics, so we need to consider this total current in the mathematical form. The total current of mathematical in the mathematical form is given by I is nothing but surface integral closed loop J into ds, right? So now what I need to write here, this is integration of B into di, right, which is equal to mu naught, right, integration of, instead of I, what I can write, close integral surface integral, that is J into ds. Clear, everybody? See, we just started our today's class with this fourth Maxwell equation. This again I am repeating the fourth Maxwell equation, that is it is in the Ampere's law. It is Ampere's law, that is integration of B into di is equal to mu naught I, where I actually signifies the I plus ID, where I is the current for steady state, right? Here total current here means what? I small I resembles the steady state current, and ID is nothing but if the current is varying, so then the steady current plus the varying current will fetch me the value of I. So we need to derive this fourth Maxwell equation. So what I am doing here is that let us consider the current density. So this is actually the expression. So let us consider the current density. The current density is given by the formula current by area, current per unit area. So the total current can be evaluated. I is equal to surface integration J into ds. Now instead of I, what I can write here, you can just say this is a basic Ampere's law. So instead of I can rewrite this capital I as surface integral J into ds. So in the same way, I have just rewritten this B into di. You can remember, say I have just rewritten this expression. Now let us consider this relation is equation number 1. So I have rewritten the equation 1, integration of v into di is equal to mu naught surface integral j into ds. Now what I am doing here is that since when I see the LHS, you can just see that the LHS is nothing but it is of the form of line integration, and your RHS is nothing but it is a form of surface integration. So in order to evaluate this line integral, surface integration, this is a non-uniform distribution of right integration. So what I am doing is that I am just making a symmetry. So either you can just make the line integral into surface integral or surface integral into line integral. So in order to do in order to make this symmetry, what I am doing here is I am doing what I want to do here is that I just want to apply now by applying Stokes theorem. So by applying Stokes theorem, so what we can do by applying Stokes theorem, you can just see. By applying Stokes theorem, so what the Stokes theorem says, so I am just taking LHS, right? See, what the Stokes theorem says that you can just convert this line integration into surface integration. So I am making this LHS, which is in the line integration form, into surface integration. So here b into di, which is equal to the surface integration, right, del cross b into ds. So what I am doing here, so I can now rewrite this. This is, let us consider this is equation number 2. Now I can rewrite this equation number 2, right, as now the equation 2. Now the equation 2 becomes what the equation 2 becomes. See, integration of surface integration of del cross b. See, del cross b into ds, which is equal to del cross b into ds, which is equal to mu naught, right, mu naught surface integration j into ds. You can just remember this fact that, see, this is also a surface integration, left hand side and right hand side. So now what it will become, now I can write del cross b is equal to, can I write like this, mu naught, right, del cross b is equal to mu naught j. So if you can remember what is j actually, so j is nothing but, since j value is what, just now we have seen the j value is current by area. You can just see this is j value, current by area. So what I can write j as, what is our total current is given by I plus id. If you remember, so our current is nothing but I plus id, which is given by I plus id by a. So what is I plus id by a? Now what I can write here, so I just what I am doing here is that I am just writing this I individual divide. If you just divide this relation individually with a, so what you will obtain I by a plus, so what it will be, id value we got in the displacement current. If you can remember the last class, we just derived that what is actually the value of a. So what that value of a is nothing but it is given as here, what I can write here. So here directly I just write this, right, instead of writing all this thing directly, what I can write here, I plus, see, I plus, what is id, epsilon naught a dou e by dou t, so divided by, this is divided by capital A. Now what is the ultimate value that I got, del cross b is equal to, what is that, mu naught j. J means here I by a is nothing but j. If you can remember, j plus epsilon naught dou e by dou t. This is the value what I got. This is the mathematical relation, right? So again I am writing here, so you need not to get any confusion regarding this equation. What I have done, I am showing you. So this can be rewritten as del cross b. How I have written this? So here I by a is there already. You can just see I by a is that mu naught, del cross b is equal to mu naught j. So mu naught j, so mu naught into I by a plus epsilon naught A dou E by dou T. So what I can write here, which is equal to mu naught I by A is your J plus, right, epsilon naught, this is divided by A also, so mu naught epsilon naught dou E by dou T. What I have written, you can just see what I have written here. So now therefore your del cross B value what now becomes mu naught J plus epsilon naught dou E by dou T. Clear everybody? Now this implies that this is the value of the fourth Maxwell equation in the differential form. This is the value in the differential format, right? So now we just derived the fourth Maxwell equation, and now what we are doing now is that we need to calculate this relationship. So I think that you got very clear idea. Again, I'm just explain you regarding what we started with. So we just started with our fourth Maxwell equation, integration of B into di, which is equal to mu naught I, that is Ampere's law. So Ampere's law can also be written as capital I is equal to small I plus Id. So what I have done is that let us consider the current density. So the current density is given by J is equal to current by J. Current density formula is current by area, that is current flowing per unit area is nothing but it is defined as current density. So the total current, how I obtain, right, mathematically, that is capital I is equal to surface integration J into ds. So now you can just rewrite this our equation 1 as surface integration line integration B into di C is equal to mu naught surface integration J into ds. This is equation number 2. When we see this equation number 2, what we conclude, so what we conclude that this equation 2 is nothing but it is LHS is in the line integration format and RHS is in the surface integration. So what we are doing here is that applying the Stokes theorem, we want to convert either the both LHS and RHS, either it may be in a line integral or surface integration. So what I am doing here is that I am applying a Stokes theorem. What the Stokes theorem says that if a given quantity is there in a line integral, you can just convert that line integral variable into surface integration by means of an operator that is called del operator. So this can be surface integration B into di can be written as the line integral can be written as the in form of surface integration. We just write it at del cross B into ds. Now our equation number 2 will become the surface integration del cross B into ds, which is equal to mu naught surface integration J into ds. So del cross B is equal to mu naught J. So J, you already are aware that J, we have seen that current by area. So what is that current actually equal to? We just say that we have seen that actually the current is nothing but I small I plus Id, where small I signifies that it is a steady current and Id here signifies that is a displacement current. So I plus Id is resembling the total current. So I plus Id divided by the area that is represented with A. So I by A is, you already aware that I by A is J. You have seen here, right? J is nothing but this is called I. This is I by A. Here total I is your I is what? I plus Id. Okay. If you can just remember this, it will be easy for you. So what is Id? We have just derived in the last class. Id is nothing but epsilon naught A by dou E by dou T. So here everything is divided with A. So individually if you divide it, I by A will give you, see, I by A we have divided it. So I by A is nothing but J. I have written here. So A and A is cancelled out. So what will remain? Epsilon naught dou E by dou T. So what we got is that del cross B is equal to mu naught J plus epsilon naught dou E by dou T. Clear everybody? So now this is the 4 Maxwell's equation which we have derived from the integration form to the differential form. This question has been asked in the last month examination paper, that is July examination paper. Derive the Maxwell's equation, differential form of Maxwell equation from the integral form. So now what we'll do is that we'll move to the next topic. So I think this is clear to you. So if not, we'll again discuss this in the next class, right? Now in the next class, in the next topic, that is the relation between, we say that we need to, in the examination he will They says that derive the relationship between D, that is displacement vector, electric field, and the polarization, right? So in a polarization of the vector, so that is we are writing polarization, right? Polarization, or we just write this as D comma E and P, right? So now this actually will do. So how we need to calculate the relationship between D, E, P? Now this polarization is polarization of charges, right? If you can just remember this thing, you need to remember. So in order to evaluate the relationship between D, E and P, we need to consider our capacitor, condenser or capacitor. So you are aware of the fact that there is a capacitor, two parallel plate capacitors are there. So let us consider this parallel plate capacitor is nothing but it is having this particular charge, positive charge, and here this is having a negative charge. And what we are doing here is that we are inserting the dielectric material. So where dielectric material is introduced between any two condenser, so then the charges at the interfaces of these dielectric material, you will be looking in the opposite charges will be induced. So you can just see if there is a negative charge, exactly opposite to it, you will get a positive charge. And here positive charge is there at this metal plate, you will get a negative charge. Clear, everybody? Now what we are doing here is that we see why we are considering this parallel plate capacitor. We need to get the relationship between DE and P. And what is the importance of that? I will just tell you. So when we just conclude our talk today's class of this relationship between DE and P. So what we have taken is that we have taken two metal plates, condenser plates. So the one is having positive charge and other is having negative charge, and we have introduced a dielectric material in between the two condenser plate. So what will happen when a dielectric constant is introduced between the condenser, and when there is no dielectric constant, what is happening to the total electric field, that we are going to see, and we'll deduce a relationship between D, E and P. So for that what we are doing is that, so whatever the figure, schematic figure we have written, we just writing that. Let us consider, you need to consider this in order to evaluate the relationship. So let us consider a parallel plate capacitor. Let us consider the parallel plate condenser. Now what we are doing here is that we are just considering the parallel plate condenser, which is filled with a dielectric constant, dielectric material which is having a constant K. So filled with a dielectric material. Clear? So filled with a dielectric material. So we just filling with a dielectric material, and let that dielectric material is denoted with K. Now so what we are doing is that we just take the two cases here. What will be the what will happen when no dielectric dielectric material is not there in between this parallel plate capacitor? What will happen to the energy, right? Electric field. What will be the electric field which is possessed by this condenser? So for that instant, what we are doing in the first case, we just considering the when no dielectric material, no dielectric is present, when no dielectric present, we just write when no dielectric material is present. So what will happen? We have to use the Gauss law. So by using Gauss law, see what we are doing by using Gauss law, we can just see slowly what we are doing is that we want to get a computer relationship between D, E and P. For that instant, we are considering the Gauss law. So the Gauss law is given by, so now this Gauss law is given by, you already know, aware of this fact that Gauss law in integration form is given by surface integration, right? So when there no dielectric constant is present, dielectric material is present, so it will be looking like in this particular manner. Epsilon naught is a permittivity. You are aware that when you use the electric field, the epsilon naught signifies the permittivity. So here what I am doing here is that we just writing E naught to the left hand side, and surface integration ds, which is equal to q by epsilon naught. What it means here? Here you should be remembering that this integration, surface integration, is actually the area. So what I am doing here, instead of epsilon E naught and integration of ds, this integration, surface integration ds, can I write a epsilon naught a is equal to q by epsilon. Clear everybody? E naught a is equal to q by epsilon naught. Now, so what will happen to E naught? So here E naught will be equal to q by epsilon naught a. Now this is actually your equation number 1 when no dielectric material is present. So this is equation number 1. Clear? See what we are doing. Again I will repeat the same thing here. So we just started our topic with the relationship between D, E and P. So let us consider a parallel plate. I have considered a parallel plate capacitor and which is having these charges, opposite charges. So what and these conducting plates is in between that we are introducing the dielectric material. So what we need to see that when what will happen when no dielectric material is present. So by what will happen to the electric field, the minimum electric field possessed by this condenser, what will happen is that by how we need to calculate, by using the Gauss law we are calculating the electric field. So by using the Gauss law, which is given by integration of E naught into ds is equal to q by epsilon naught. So E naught into integration of ds is equal to q by epsilon naught. So where integration surface integration can also be written as, instead of this what I can write here a, so E naught a is equal to q by epsilon naught, and here E naught is equal to q by epsilon naught a. This is equation number 1. Clear everybody? Now what I am doing here is that, so then this is the fact. Now this part is over. Okay, this part is over. Okay, now we just try to, now what will happen, the second important thing. So if you just remember the first equation, what will happen, the second one, when dielectric is placed, what will happen when dielectric material is introduced. So dielectric materials is introduced between, right, between the condenser. So what will happen when dielectric material is introduced between the condenser? So the net charge, we can just see the diagram also, by means of which we will calculate the net charge. So you can just see that the net charge within the we say that particular charges which are there inside the parallel plate capacitor, in between that is called Gaussian surface. So we'll just consider that as Gaussian surface. So I will tell you what is the importance of that. So within the Gaussian surface, the charges whatever you see, we just say that is called Gaussian surface, and that charge is given by is represented with q minus q dash. You need to remember this, right? Q minus q dash. Now where what is q dash? You can see there are induced charges in the diagram, where q dash is the induced charges, is the induced charges. Clear everybody? Now, and induced charges, and now what I'm doing, I'm going to the next part. Let see, for each and everything we calculate the electric field, right? Let E is the resultant, now resultant field, right, with the dielectric. So let E be the resultant field. So by using the Gauss law, so again in the previous case also, first case we have used the Gauss law. So by Gauss law, what I am doing, by using the Gauss law, what we are trying to do, so E into ds, which is equal to q, instead of q, what is the induced total charge here? Q minus q dash. You can just remember, when I use the dielectric material, so now the charge will not be only q, but it can be written as q minus q dash. Clear everybody? So now what I am doing here is that, again keeping E outside, surface integration ds, right, which is equal to q minus q dash by epsilon naught. So what I am doing here, so you are aware that this integration of surface integration ds is actually equal to A. Clear? So now what I am writing here, see, E is the electric field when you introduce the dielectric material. So E into A, which is equal to q minus q dash epsilon naught when the dielectric material is introduced. So in the case when the dielectric material is not introduced, then we have written with the E, right? What we got? E. I will just show you. E is equal to, now will become q minus q dash epsilon naught A. This is equation number 2. Now clear? Now but dielectric constant, you are having aware that what is dielectric constant formula? So what is that formula? K is equal to E naught by E. This is the when the dielectric constant is not there. So this is a basic electric resultant field E naught, and when dielectric constant is used, the electric field will be E. So what is the formula? K is equal to E naught by E. Now this is the formula of dielectric constant, the mathematical relation of dielectric constant. Clear everybody? Now, so what will happen here is that, so E naught, now what is E? We need to calculate electric field when the dielectric material is used. So E is equal to E naught by K. Clear? Now what is it? You are aware, right, of the fact what is E naught, right? So what is E naught? E naught is nothing but Q by K is already there. So what is the remaining here? So you can just see you can just refer the equation number 1 for what is E naught, since E naught is nothing but that is given by Q by epsilon naught A. So I have just replaced this E naught with Q by epsilon naught A. Clear everybody? So we just so now this is our equation. Now this is from equation number 1. So in the bracket what you can write? From equation number 1. Clear? From equation number 1 I have written this. Now substituting this value in equation 2. So we got E naught value now. E value, sorry. This is E value, right? This is actually E value. So E value what we got? When dielectric Q by epsilon naught A, right? So from equation number 1. So now what I am doing here is that, so I am just writing this E is equal to, now I got C. What is my equation? See, since using equation 2. What is equation 2? Using equation 2. So what is equation 2? E is equal to Q minus Q dash by epsilon naught A. So what is E here? Since see, you can just see this is E. So E is what? You can just see this is E. So what I can write here? E is nothing but Q by epsilon naught A, which is equal to Q minus Q dash by epsilon naught A. Clear everybody? So individually if you just write this as Q by small q by epsilon naught A minus Q dash by epsilon naught A. Clear? Now what will happen? Q by epsilon naught A, which is equal to Q by now Q by epsilon naught, now K into so what will happen here? Right, K will go there, K Q by, okay, so the Q by epsilon naught A, right, minus Q dash by epsilon naught A. So this fact what we have done, we just calculated this, right? So here here K, here K. So what will happen? Now Q by epsilon naught A will be equal to, now this is epsilon naught A plus Q dash Q A. So what I have written here, just see what I have done here is that, so Q by K epsilon naught A, where is K? Here. Epsilon naught A is there. So what I have done is that, so this is actually K epsilon naught A. So I have just replaced this minus to here to the left hand side. So now what I got is that K by epsilon naught A is equal to Q dash plus epsilon naught A by plus Q by K epsilon naught A. Clear everybody? So now what you can do is that, see what you can do here, Q by A you can just take common, epsilon naught A you can just take common. So what will happen? Q by K into epsilon naught A plus Q dash by epsilon naught A. Now this is what we got. So at last what we'll get? Q by A is equal to epsilon naught, taking common, right, q by, see, q by, now q by k into epsilon naught a plus q dash by a. Now this is actually become, now it will become q by a is equal to epsilon naught. This is actually E. If you can remember, this value is actually E plus this value is P, right? So now since this is the fact D is equal to epsilon naught E plus P, the D is nothing but the q by a value, so epsilon naught E as it is I have written plus P. Now this is the relationship between the D, E and P. Understood everybody? So thank you everyone, thank you for your patience. So with this we'll just end our today's class. So today's class will end now. Thank you everyone.